What is going on, YouTube? This is LA Prepper, and we are going to try and bring you a little video about gardening because I was just making a video about food shortages. I found this really cool infographic. So, this is actually really interesting. The number of US households with food gardens, about 43 million. And what is the number of people on food stamps? About 41 million. Now what's I'm going to say funny, maybe funny is not the right word, but perhaps ironic that I suspect, and I could be wrong, I could be a big jerk, but I suspect most of the people growing their own food are not the people on food stamps. Now, why do I think that? Well, there's probably a percentage of people that are on food stamps, but growing a garden can be tough. You need space, you need time, you need energy. You know, people that are working jobs, got kids and daycare, they think that it's not worth the time or the energy, or they don't have the space, or they just don't want to do it, or food is so cheap, why would I bother? It's going to take me this many months to get a cucumber, so what's the point, right? Well, let's take a look at what America is doing. 23% of the West growing their own food. Sorry, not 23% of the West. I think this is the percentage breakdown of all the gardeners. So a little bit more in the South. Actually, it's pretty balanced. A little bit less in the Northeast, probably because it's cold, but certainly not a tiny number of people. 29% in the South. Of course, the weather is a little bit better. The Midwest, mediocre weather depending on where you are. And the West, about 23%. Of course, we have people growing tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, beans, carrots, squash, onions, hot peppers, lettuce, peas, and sweet corn. All good stuff. Interesting, 79%. Now, see, this is weird. College graduate or some college. Well, a lot of people have some college, so I wish they would have separated that out. That's kind of weird. 45 and older, 68%. Female, 54%. 5 hours a week gardening. Would you spend 5 hours a week doing something so you never had to worry about putting food on your table? Or at least you had to worry a lot less about putting food on your table? Total spent nationwide on food gardens, 2.5 billion. Total return on investment, 21 billion. I mean, look at that. That's a pretty big return on investment. Estimated dollar return for a 600 square foot garden, $600. Estimated spent per household, 70. So every garden on average is giving the owner a return of $530. I don't know if that's a year or probably not a month. That's probably a year. But that's a ninefold, what is that? 21 divided by 2.5, 8.4. So that's an 8.4 return on investment from gardening. So gardening makes good economic sense. Duh, right? The water is very cheap, the sun's free, seeds are very cheap, dirt's practically free. You're going to spend a little bit of money on materials for your garden, maybe a little bit on dirt, maybe a little bit on some tools, garden equipment. I mean, you could dump as much money as you want to on a garden, but you don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to grow some vegetables, right? So very interesting stuff. I could be growing a little bit of stuff in this apartment, but it's not really, I don't want to say it's not for me, but I just don't have a ton of kind of spare space, and I don't have a lot of good light. If I had a little bit better light, I'd have to set up artificial lighting for all my indoor plants, and by this time I spend $300 or $400 on lights and setup and all that stuff, I'm kind of in trouble. But what might make sense for me living in an apartment You know, and people have said, oh, you know, put stuff in the windows. Well, I had some stuff in the windows and I spilled a bunch of dirt over here and it was kind of a disaster. You know, I open and close this window a lot. I open and close the blinds a lot. It's really not convenient for me to have a bunch of plants growing in here and try to water them and all that junk. I could, now this window, you know, doesn't get enough light really either. If I wanted to, I would probably set up a garden along this wall. Of course, my bug out boat is taking up this space right now. But I would set up the garden here, probably have some LED lights. I would try to power the LED lights from an off-grid perspective from solar power, but that's really not enough power to kind of, you know, do what I need. Could I grow some stuff in my apartment? Yeah, but let's be real. Me spending 5 hours a week trying to grow a few vegetables in the garden in my apartment is probably not worth my time compared to spending 5 hours a week being a handyman or spending 5 hours a week looking for a job. Now, if I've already spent all my time working and looking for a job and I have extra time, yeah, you know, I guess I could put some time into some gardening. Maybe what would be kind of cool is if I could find like a good place to guerrilla garden that I could water. Like I could ride my bike over there and water it with water that I take on my bike. So I could ride my bike, water the stuff, harvest the vegetables, and then come back home. Not sure I have anything super close that kind of fits that category. I could probably find some places, but I actually have one spot that I'm thinking of that's next to the road where I kind of do errands, and somebody else is kind of already guerrilla gardening there, which makes me curious to go plant some seeds and just water them and maybe put a note that says, I've added to your guerrilla garden, please don't hate me, you know. But just wanted to make this quick video about food. If you are growing indoors in your apartment, I would love to see what you got working. Love to see what kind of lighting and stuff you have. I'm sure I could Google growing food in your apartment, but you know, I'm trying not to spread myself out too thin. I got the handyman stuff going. I'm looking for a full-time job. I got school going. Got the volunteer thing going, although I need to find new favorite places to volunteer. So I'm busy, but I do have a little bit of extra time, and you know, just for the heck of it, I might need to just try some guerrilla gardening somewhere just to see how well it works. But of course, my challenge is you have to be able to maintain whatever you're working on. So if you can't water it, you can't visit it regularly, or if you don't, you know, if it's not close enough that you can motivate yourself to visit it regularly, it's just not going to be something that you're going to do. So if you are gardening, if you have a garden, I would love to see it. Please make a video of it and share. If you have old videos about gardening, feel free to respond with a comment in this channel. I have over 130 subs, and I can't always go back and look through everyone's channel to find that video that you posted 5 months ago. So until then, like, comment, subscribe, and grow some food. You will not regret it. Take care, YouTube. Bye for now.